Hello children of class 7th, welcome to Classroom TV. And this is another session which you are going to learn through your online classes only on Classroom TV. So we are starting with our science class. As you know, in our science class we have the classification of our branches of science as physics, chemistry and biology. So in your earlier classes, like it is 5th or in 6th standard, you have been learning it as even science, because it's nothing but your science is the branch which deals with study of nature, its interaction and with environment. So basically here the chapters whatever you have in your syllabus are classified and grouped up into physics, chemistry and biology classes. So I am going to go through your chemistry classes, and once again welcome to your Classroom TV to go on with chemistry classes. So let's start with this session, and before to start this session, so we are going to go with some discussion in your first chapter of chemistry as acids, bases and salts. So starts with the first chapter of chemistry, acids, bases and salts. So let's start, like what are these actual acids, bases and salts. So before to start with the topic, with the content and the actual to go to your going to the chapter, let's go with some discussion. So can you see here some figures which are some of the pictures which have been considered. Do you know children what is this? Yes, it's tamarind. Yes. So I think like during your childhood days and during when you were small, you may feel like been having tamarind, and it will be so, when you try to taste it, how it will be going, how you are going to find it? Yes, you will find it to be sour in nature. Have you find it and you feel like having it again and again and again? Yes, because these are like your what you can say, like these are like your some of the childhood memories which we can consider, or which I can say, like because in your earlier times or like when you're playing times and all, like you might be trying to pluck out this tamarind and try to have it because it is sour in taste, isn't it? So what does this sour in taste gives us? Like how it is connected to our science. Like we are saying that a tamarind, it's nothing but it's one type of a fruit like thing, or what you're like basically which you're trying to take it. So when you're trying to consume it, so basically you feel that it's sour in taste. Not only tamarind, if you go for the other one which I took here, you can see here basically, you can see here it's nothing but it's a lemon. So you mostly, you know, like we prefer lemon now and then, and mostly in all of our, in all the food ingredients or whatever we take or whatever we ensure, in such cases also we basically, we try to prefer lemon. So even when you try to taste lemon, how do you feel children? Basically how you feel even lemon? Yes, you will feel like it's also sour in taste, isn't it? So how this is connected, means what is the connection, or when you are trying to taste these things and when you are trying to feel the taste differ from one another, what it means, or like what basically we group this, or how we are going to classify this, and how we are going to define, or we can say like one among such vegetables or one among some fruits whichever we taste or whichever we ensuring it, or when you are tasting it, they feel with some or the other taste of sense, where we are trying to group up them as the acids and bases. So basically when you are trying to taste tamarind, so basically you feel definitely that tamarind is sour in taste. And even the lemon which you basically take, even the lemon also which you feel to be sour in taste, feel sour in taste. Yeah. Then can you see the other figure? What is this other picture which I have taken here? Yes, it's nothing but it's bitter gourd. I think by just by seeing it only you feel like, yeah, it's so like what you say, like it's so bitter in taste, and many doesn't prefer it to take also because of bitter in taste. So bitter gourd, the name itself which we took or which we considered here, it's nothing but it's bitter gourd, which is found to be bitter in taste, which is found to be bitter in taste. So here like different what you say the vegetables and fruits whichever we consider or which we consume as one of our what you say like of the nutrients, like because in your earlier classes in your biology classes and all you learnt about different food components and the different nutrients and the carbohydrates and proteins. So in that also you can find these are one among such fruits. Like because like actually when we go with lemons and oranges, where basically we say lemons and oranges are considered to be the highly fibrous fruits. They are rich in fibers. That's the reason we consider or we say the lemon and oranges to be as highly fibrous fruits because they are rich in fibers. Yes. So here like different things, like when you go for tamarind, so you feel that it differs. When you go for lemon, so but you can find that when you go with the taste of tamarind and lemon, they almost feel the same, where we find the taste to be sour in taste. Sour in taste. But when once you go for bitter gourd, you feel definitely it's whack, like we are not feeling like to eat it. Isn't it? So because of this taste, which find to be bitter in taste, which is found different from the lemon or the oranges, what you are considering or what you have taken here. So here now it's our duty, like you are going to classify the whatever the fruits or whatever the vegetables which you are considering or which you take. Basically we are trying to classify them, and we are trying to say like which are found to be, means whichever the vegetables or fruits are found in sour in taste are classified and they are grouped as acids. Means acids are those substances, means those common fruits or those vegetables which we usually take and whichever are found to be sour in taste, which are found to be sour in taste are basically considered as acids. Are considered as acids, means whichever substances are found to be sour in taste are grouped up or classified as acids. In the same way, when you go for bitter gourd, for example, like if you take the example of bitter gourd, as we now found, like when we are trying to consume the bitter gourd or when you are eating bitter gourd, you feel the bitter in taste, you feel bitterness. So in such cases, those kind of fruits or vegetables, or even you can find an example of a soap. Can you see even a soap? Have you ever tasted a soap? Yes, but if you have been saying itself only, you feel like some irritating type, yeah, who will take the soap and all, who will taste it, because even you can find these soaps are also been found to be bitter in taste and soft or soapy to touch, and they are almost oily also. So even you can see the soaps are also bitter in nature. So these kind of substances, which are basically found to be bitter in taste are grouped up and classified and called as bases. So wherever you find the bitterness, then you will say them as bases. So this is how like we are trying to differentiate the different substances which are available in nature. Because we already know like science is the study of nature and its environment, its interaction and the surroundings in which we are living. So in those things, in those substances and those materials whichever are being found with the surroundings, where you are trying to group up them or which you have considered those nature things, you are trying to classify them depending upon, means it can be from nature or it can be also from artificial means also, artificial sources. Now for example, you know, like soaps are manufactured. Soaps are basically prepared. They are not, they are not available in nature as directly like in case of tamarind or in case of lemon or in case of bitter gourd. Isn't it? So basically here we are trying to classify these materials which are available in the nature are from the natural sources or from artificial sources, because you already been learning about artificial things like with the things which are being classified or which are naturally available from natural sources and from artificial ways which are made by man. So basically here those substances which are available naturally from the nature, as from trees or from animals and all, basically like the examples like the sheep which is obtained from the wool which is obtained from sheep. Yes, in the same way cotton from cotton plants. So these are basically, you can find there are natural ways from which we get the natural sources. In the same way, like even the available substances or those available materials, whichever we found, are those material or those substances also are grouped, or they are also being classified as acids and bases. So we are going to go with the actual definition also, like, so basically we already defined it now. Like acids are those substances which are found sour in taste. Sour in taste. So basically like in our normal language, like what we say, this sour is nothing but like khata, which we say, like which we feel like to have it again and again. Whereas if you compare this sour and it's oppositely, like if you go for bitter things, you feel like not to have it. Yeah, I can't take this. I can't have the bitter things because they're tasted bitter. It's like kadva, which we say. Okay, which we say like duga, which we say basically. So in such cases also, like, so there are some those substances which are basically classified, like the substances which are found sour in taste as acids and bitter in taste as bases. So same example, like even in soaps, you can, as I said, like soaps are also found in bitter in nature. In the same way, if you go for the other examples, you can find, we took the example of sugar and also salt. But I think the appearance may feel you like it seem to be same, but you can find these are crystalline structure. It's a crystalline, means the crystals, because basically sugar mostly which we find available in the form of sugar. Now tell me, like, how do you when you taste sugar, how you feel it? Yes, you feel it sweetest, and mostly many are found of even eating sweets. Isn't it? And even you have been one among of all your friends, and even you may like eating sweets. So in all these sugary substances, means sugar crystals are responsible for the sweetness, or those substances whichever are made or prepared are nothing but they are manufactured and they are also prepared. Okay, isn't it? They are also prepared from sugar only. When you go for the different sweets, like if you take jalebi, because in earlier classes you learned in 6th class about jalebi and all those kinds. So in this you have been learning about sugar syrup and all, the jellies and jam. So this jam, jellies and all these are also prepared from sugar crystals, because when you try to taste, you can find the sugar is found to be sweetest in taste. It's sweet in taste. It's found to be sweeter in taste. Then if you take the other example, you can find it's nothing but it is salt. It's nothing but it's salt. So I think even you know about the salt, children, because salt is a substance which is definitely added to our food, because it only gives the taste of the food. And how much the food is prepared in whatever way, until and unless if this salt is not be added or found in that, it's an incomplete food, which you can say which doesn't enhance the taste of food. So salt is that substance which you need to add for tasting the food. So definitely, so here, like when you are be adding salt, or when you try to taste this salt, so how do you feel it, children? Yeah, you feel salt. It's mostly always, it's nothing but it's also salty in taste, because when you say sugar substances, then when we find the sugar substances are basically found to be sweeter. That's nothing but sweet in taste. And basically when you go for salts, where you can find salts are found to be salty in taste. So these are some substances like where we are trying to classify this, which we are basically classifying these substances depending on the depending on taste. How does it differs from one another? So these are the set of examples which gives us a clear explanation about there are the substances which exist in nature or present in the environment in which we live. When we try to taste them, you can find the taste differ from one another, isn't it? So you feel like to have tamarind more than bitter gourd. Why? Because tamarind is found to be sour in taste. It's very well what you say, like you feel it very pleasant to have it. But in the same way, when you're trying to take bitter gourd, where you can find where basically bitter gourd is found to be bitter in taste, which you doesn't feel to eat it. So there are the substances, those substances which exist or which we try to show, and because of this existence only you can, or where we are trying to classify them as acids, bases and salts, which is your first chapter of your chemistry in your 7th class. So let's start with a detailed explanation, and let's go with the concepts and learn like what are these acids and bases, how they play important role in our daily life, because these applications means these examples are most important to you. So you should know like how we are using it and where we are using it. Now you may have a question like basically like what is the use of this, or why we are learning it, or like where is this application or where we use it. So basically, as I said, like these are the different substances which are available in nature in one or the other form where we definitely use it. There's no doubt in that. So in such cases, like definitely you might know, like when you prefer fruits, not only lemon, even go for the other fruits also, like basically when you prefer oranges and also even orange also you can find they are found to be sour in taste, and they are also rich in fibers, and those kind of substances also we are classifying. So there are the substances available in nature which are sour in taste and even bitter in taste, sour in taste and even bitter in taste, and those substances are called as acids and bases. So let's go with the discussion in your chapter acids and bases, like what all the content we have. Let's have a look on those and we learn it. Yes children, are you familiar with this discussion, like what 5 means from these sources we are trying to classify the acids and bases depending on their taste. Yes. The next comes, like can you see the other two pictures, like basically, so I think this is very much you're familiar. This is nothing but what is this children? It's these are your lemons, and here you can find this is nothing but it's curd, isn't it? I think you feel eating curd, isn't it? So some of you, some of yours, I think it's I can say it's a favorite dish. Like basically you have curd rice and all, and even eat going with curd, buttermilk, and even lassi, the sweet curd which you are going to prefer. So basically, have you ever think like what even this when you eat the curd, how you feel it, children? Like how is the taste you feel it in curd? Yes, basically you can find even in curd also you feel like it's somewhat sour, not that much sour or not that much sweet. You can basically find even in such cases, even it's not so sweeter and it's not so sour, but you can find it's between moderately. So basically we can say like even the curd which we have been eating, it's nothing but it is also found to be sour in taste. Basically it is also found to be sour in taste. Then when you go for lemons, so basically we already discussed that lemons are definitely found to be sour in taste. They are found sour in taste. So now you can find the same examples which we discussed, like curd, lemon juice, orange juice and vinegar. Have you heard about the vinegar, children? Like basically where we use this vinegar? Yeah, actually vinegar is also one form of acid. We are going to name that. Actually that vinegar is one form of acetic acid which we say. Though we are going to name some acids now. So out of which we basically go with this vinegar which is also found sour in taste. So this particular vinegar which tastes sour is also considered as an acid, which we basically, so these all substances, whichever we took an examples, like basically you can see curd, even the juice, which is prepared from lemons, which is lemon juice, even orange juice, as I was been discussing, and as I was saying, orange juice also, which basically, which we prefer. In such cases also you are going to find the taste is sour. So all these substances taste sour because they contain acid. So why they are sour? Did you ever question like why we feel that sourness in taste, or why they are found to be sour in taste? Because they contain acids in them. They contain acids in them. So in such cases we are trying to define, and we are trying to say like which of the following, whichever the substances are existing or found in nature are classified as acids and bases depending on upon their taste. So here, so why they are sour now? Because of acids. So what kind of acids? Because according to science we are learning that, because we have found it, and we have definitely said that these particular substances or whatever we are considering or what we take into consideration are found with somewhat taste, and in such cases here we found that taste to be sour or bitter. So according to our science, now we need to find like how we classify or which kind of acids are available, or which based on which we are trying to classify these acids. Yes. And even the chemical nature of such substances is acidic. So here chemical nature means it's nothing but like children like behavior. Now because now you know like definitely when you have been in your school with your friends, you definitely will make different, you have different friends. So each what you say like each friend will be different from one another. They doesn't have the same like they may not be behaving the same like as you are behaving. They differ from one another, means the nature of your friend may differ from you and from other. In the same way, the substances whichever we considered or whichever we took from the nature, where we can find is a differentiation, means that chemical nature of those all substances are found to be acidic in nature because of the acidic character which makes the substances to be sour in nature. And those substances we classified and defined them as acids. Is it clear? So based on this we need to know like what kind of acids we are going to use, and I can tell you children like where vinegar is mostly used. Yes, actually vinegar is usually used in preparing pickles. Isn't it? You eat pickles? Even we feel pickles also to be so kata like we feel it very pleasantly to have it. So in such cases also we find, and even the noodles which you eat it, which you feel like very happily you'll try to eat. So even in your noodles also you can find vinegar is basically added to taste it, to get the taste. So there also we basically use it. Yes. The next take the other example for example, what about baking soda? So there's another salt called baking soda. I think mostly you might be knowing like you prefer eating this what you say, these samosas or the mirchis, bhajis which you see, like crispy pakoras and all basically which you eat as an oily food. So in such cases also where we basically find this baking soda is also an added, which is one salt. So let's discuss about this salt, like how it is. So basically does you ever time it or does you ever taste it? So when you are trying to taste the baking soda, you feel that does it also sour taste? Like will we get the same taste like in case of lemons or the tamarind when you are tasting it? So in such cases if it's not, then what is its taste? When you have been generally tasting simply the raw salt, that's baking soda, if you are trying to taste it, in such cases if you find if it is found to be taste as sour, if it's not tasted as sour, then what does it taste? If not, what is its taste? Then because it does not taste so sour, it means that it doesn't have any acids in it. It doesn't have any acids in it. So it is bitter in taste. It's bitter in taste, isn't it? The alternate is nothing but like when you doesn't feel it like to have it or taste it mostly. So definitely, because if your first thing is like we found it that it's not sour in taste. So when it's giving when it is not sour in taste, so it's clearly means that it's not an acid. Then its alternate, it's a bitter, that's a base which we can say, because we already defined those substances which are found bitter in taste. Commonly, commonly as apart from sour in taste, because sour in taste substances classified as acids. So those substances which are basically found bitter in taste are basically classified as bases. So in such cases, then if you rub its solution between fingers, you take some of the baking soda salt and try to rub it. You can feel your fingers feels to be soapy. You feel it soapy. Yes. So in such cases, so those substances, like you can see here the example. So this is like baking soda, which is basically which is also been found to be, the appearance you can find it's white. So you should not get, it's whitish only here also. So basically, like you may not get confused between that salt, the common salt which we eat. You should not get confused between that. So this particular salt which we are trying to define, or which we are trying it as saying it as baking soda, which is basically found to be bitter in taste. And you try to rub, take some salt in your hand and try to rub it, you can feel your fingers to be soapy. It's nothing but like, it's almost, they are soapy and bitter in taste, so you can classify them as bases but not salts here. Yes. So some substances like which are bitter in taste and feel soapy on touch, which we feel soapy like oily or soapy touching, are known as bases, and those nature of such substances is said to be basic. So those substances are basically said to be basic. So I think children, now basically like you have got an idea between an acid and a base means depend upon the, depending on taste, because an unknown substances or whichever the basic substances available in nature, like first you are trying to go with taste, but all the time like basically you can't go on taste all the substances, isn't it? Because we are saying that these substances are with somewhat chemical in nature, because they are been found with some of the chemical acidic properties and basic properties we are saying. So all the time we are not supposed to test the unknown substances, isn't it? Can we go on test the unknown substances as we like, and we are going to test it? Can we taste it? No. So we can't go on test the unknown substances until and unless it is said us to do so. But basically we are going to give an idea, like mostly like now when you are going with tamarind and lemons and all, basically we take it. But what about a soap and all? Basically, do we taste the soap? Do we taste it? We never taste basically. So in such substances, not only like soap, not only the soap, only there are some other substances also which are may not what you say, like we can't go for tasting it always to find it's an acid or a base and trying to find it sour or bitter. So in such cases we will be learning about indicators, like some indicators we use, means there are some substances which gives us idea when you are trying to test those unknown solutions without tasting it, and then we can classify them as acids and bases. So here the one among such discussion you can find like the two basic children, like one of you, like one of your friends, like they are saying the same thing. Can I taste all the substances to find their taste? Can you go on taste it? So we can't taste it. So that's the reason again this girl is saying no. Have you not read the caution? That's nothing but it's a precaution which is basically given, like whenever we should not taste the unknown substances which could harm us. Because if you go on taste the soap, will you eat the soap? Will you eat the detergents? Will you eat the washing soaps? No. And you are not supposed to taste it also until and unless if it's said also, because there's a caution, that's a precaution, because those substances can definitely harm you. So that's the reason these two of your friends are guiding you and they are saying you like you are not supposed to taste all the substances because they can harm us. So here you can classify some of the substances on taste, depending on taste, as we discussed. Like for example, lemon juice. So tell me children, like basically, so you can see sour, bitter, or any other. Any other in the sense, like what are the other substances which we come across? Salt and sugar. So basically, if you find those substances are found to be salty, so you need to write salty. If the sugary, then you need to go for sweet in nature. So basically, when you go for lemon juice, so mostly you know lemon juice is found to be sour in taste. Coming to orange juice, yes, even orange juice is also sour in taste. Now you should get the answers from you. Vinegar, yes, even vinegar is also found to be sour in taste. Then what about curd? Even we discussed curd also. So even curd is also found to be sour in taste. Then coming to tamarind, which we say basically as imli in Hindi, even it is also found to be sour in taste. What about sugar? Yes, sugar is found to be sweeter. It's sweet. Common salt, it's salty. It's salty. Coming to amla, even this is also one of the type of citrus fruit, children, basically. So even it also is found to be sour in taste. Coming to baking soda, so just now as we discussed an example where we can find as baking soda as found to be bitter in taste. Coming to orange grapes, even you can find even grapes also as sour. Unripe mangoes, even unripe mangoes are also nothing but that's your unripe mango which we use for making pickles, basically. So even though also are found to be sour in nature. Yes. So you can find the examples which we come across here, which we basically find mostly like the first of the examples which we found, mostly they are as sour in taste, which we basically defined as, we already defined it as they are acids. Yes. So in such cases also, like we are trying to prefer, like in which other phases it is going to be defined. Then as sweet and salt, they are different. Again, if you go for sour, and there's other one example where we find that particular substance is found to be bitter in taste, and that substance we classified, or we defined it as a base here. And basically you can find the other substances also. So these are some general substances which we basically consume or which we take in everyday life, isn't it? We take it on. Yes, definitely, which we generally take in our everyday life. So these are some of those examples which we basically come across as acids and bases, which we try to define them, and what we trying to classify them, or we are trying to group up them as acids and bases depending on the taste. Yes. The next comes, there are some with the same acids like whichever we define. Now we need to name those acids. So this is important, children, like you should know the name of those acids. So as I was saying, a vinegar which is found to be sour in taste, basically. So here also you can see the same, the conversation between the two friends, like as you can taste all the substances, no, they can give you as a caution, there is a caution, basically, because they try to warn us, like they give us an awareness to us, like we are not supposed to take so or do so until because they harm us. So here, like you can find, there are some available acids which we just as we classified them, or we discussed as we have grouped up them depending upon the available taste. Yes, depending on the available taste here. So here the same those acids and bases which we classified depending upon the availability, taste of sour and bitter natures. So we need to find like which acids are found in them. So basically when you go for vinegar, which as I said you, which we add in for as a preservative also in pickles and all, which we'll be learning it. So you can find the name of the acid, it's acetic acid. So you can find the acetic acid found in vinegar. Then when you go for ant sting, have you find any time honeybee sting which gets, have you heard, I think at least you may have heard like when honeybee stings. So that honeybees, when it stings, it will try to, it secretes saliva, and that particular saliva contains formic acid. So even the honeybee, when it ant stings, you can't say it's bite, you have to say it's a sting. So when it stings you, you can find it's a lot of itching, which makes you feel a lot of itching and irritation, where you can find your skin becomes reddish, and definitely you feel because of the secretion of that particular ant which releases the saliva which contains formic acid. Yes. Then even the other citrus fruits, as we discussed, some of the citrus fruits like oranges, lemons and all, they contain citric acid. They contain citric acid. Then what about curd, children, which you eat? It contains lactic acid. Your curd contains lactic. Then it comes spinach. So you know what is spinach? Generally which we say palak in general Hindi language. So your spinach which contains oxalic acid. The next comes amla, citrus fruits. Apart from the amla, there are other citrus fruits which basically contains ascorbic acid, and this particular ascorbic acid is rich in vitamin C. It's rich in vitamin C. The next comes tamarind, grapes, unripe mangoes. All are unripe mangoes are the examples of acids which contain tartaric acid. So these are the general names, means these are the name acids which we basically classified, found to be sour in taste, and these are the names of those acids. So what does vinegar contain? What acetic acid is found in vinegar. Formic acid is found in ant stings. You can see found in. Yes. Then even the oranges and the lemons, they contain, as they are citrus fruits, as they contain citric acid. Yes. Then you can find lactic acid in curd and oxalic acid in spinach, and the citrus fruits and the other amla and all, they basically contain ascorbic acid. Then even if you go for tamarind and other acids, you can basically find its tartaric acid. Yes. So we have classified those acids depending upon their taste, and even we found we have named those acids basically which we found in those fruits and vegetables which we took as an example. Yes. Then the other, so all these acids whichever are mentioned, they occur in nature. So they are available from nature. They are natural sources. So these are natural sources which we get from plants and all, which we basically get from plants and all. So that's the reason which we basically say these all acids which are basically found, whichever are found here, are found in nature. Yes. The next comes like the name of those bases. So the basic names which we found here, like calcium hydroxide. So if you take the example of lime water, so you can find in case of lime water, it's an base which you can go with the name of the base as calcium hydroxide. The next comes the window cleaner, the solution which we use to clean the windows and all, basically it's ammonium hydroxide, because as we defined, the bases which are found to be bitter in taste and soapy in nature, and mostly they are used for domestic purpose like cleaning and all, cleaning purpose. So mostly cleaning and washing purpose, which is has domestic purposes. So you can find those applications here. Yes. Then even sodium hydroxide, where you can find potassium hydroxide, which basically potassium hydroxide, the content which we highly found in such cases also. So you can see sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, which contains soap, means the general soap whichever we took an example. So in that cases also you can find sodium hydroxide and potassium hydroxide is the content. The next comes magnesium hydroxide. So when we can say it's a milk of magnesia, children, this you will be learning actually whenever you feel like what you say, like when you feel your stomach is feeling to be upset, or like you feel like with stomach ache, you say basically like when you have been eating it more than required, or if you have eaten less than the required, you feel like you are feeling stomach ache and all, basically you say it. So during which you can find like actually this stomach ache is responsible for of excess acid which is been produced in stomach, which you will be learning in your classes children, not to surprise. So in such cases, like you are going to go with some a tablet, and that particular tablet which contains a base called as milk of magnesia, means that milk of magnesia, a form of salt which is available in the form of magnesium hydroxide. So these are some of those examples which we are available in nature from the natural sources. We have classified them according to their taste, and we found that they are found sour in nature, and we classify them as acids, and we have named even those acids like how they are being named as depending upon the available acids in the nature, and the same in the bases also which we discuss. So this is how children, like we classified some of the available substances in the nature from natural means or artificial means. Depending on the taste, we classified them as acids and bases. But as you can see, as per the conversation, like can we taste all the substances to find the taste? We can't taste it, because these are the unknown substances which are available in nature. So we don't know like in which of the cases they can harm us, because there are some precautions which we need to take. We should be cautious before we try to taste it. So each and every time we can't go on taste them to find to try to group them or to classify them as acids and bases. So in such cases we need to go for the other, what is the alternative method which we adopt here to find these unknown substances and classify them as acids and bases, called as indicators. So using these indicators, we will be trying to classify these unknown solutions as acids and bases, and then we try to further go with their properties. So this is how children we started with your first class of our chemistry in your 7th class as acids, bases and salt, with a general introduction where we try to classify some of the available substances as acids and bases depending on their taste. In our next class, we are going to continue our chapter where we are trying to classify the unknown substances as acids and bases depending upon the different types of indicators which we are going to learn in your content of your chapter. So till then, keep watching our Classroom TV. Visit to our Classroom TV website, classroomtv.in, for videos, practice papers, materials, each and content you are going to get it, and keep enjoying watching Classroom TV. We will meet in our next class.